Liftoff of mission 41B, first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Health or High Water. We have Chelsea Pierotti in the studio. Dr. Chelsea Pierotti, what's going on? How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming in. We were mentioning super rainy day here in Denver, but still beautiful.
Of course. It's always beautiful in Denver.
Yes, it is. We need the rain. We need it. What's up, Trip?
Not much, man. I agree. We need the rain. Was it Arizona and Utah depend on us? So
Is that true? Is that what they say?
Colorado River, right? Goes down.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah, I think they depend on us. So yeah, the more the rain, the better. So
I love it. I love it. Well, so Dr. Chelsea, we're going to discuss some cool stuff today. You're a sports psychology. So sports psychology, you're actually currently active. Can you give me a quick introduction for us and our listeners on what you're doing right now?
Sure.
Your credentials.
Of course. So I am a professor at the University of Colorado Boulder. I'm in the social psychology department. So within psychology, I do more on the social side of sport. So things like team dynamics and coaching, but then also mental skills for athletes. So rather than the mental health side, it's the mental toughness side. So I love helping athletes on that side. And then my athletic background is in dance. I grew up a studio competitive dancer and then was a professional ballet dancer, coached for a long time. And now I get to do mental toughness and dance.
What was your early on dance experience? You like 4 years old, 5 years old, or like what?
I did start pretty young, but pretty rec level. I was more the kid that tried all the things.
Okay.
I did soccer, I did basketball, but I don't like cardio, I guess, if that's a thing. Like dance is very anaerobic, and I appreciate the 2-minute sprint version. So soccer was not my thing. So yeah, I did all the things for a while, and I concentrated on competitive dance and ballet at about 12.
So there's a lot of different kinds of dance. There's hundreds, probably even more than hundreds. Like, how does that work? Do people gravitate towards, I like this kind of dance? Or is it more you recommend they explore all different styles of dancing?
Oh, I think it's so wonderful to explore. And I should say that I said how it's, those sprints, and that was my experience in the ballet world. That can be that way. And there's definitely dance where, if you perform in, somebody's show, you don't stop for hours, right? So it goes both ways, to be fair. But I do think it's wonderful to try all the different kinds, especially even people who are advanced in one specific skill set, to just expose yourself to different styles. It brings back the joy a little bit and gets out of the monotony of this is my high-end training and back to let's remember why this is fun.
What's the most beautiful thing about ballet? Because I love it. I'm such a novice, even describing what it is. But from the outside, it looks so meditative and immersive. And what is it?
Yeah. Oh, what is the most beautiful?
Yeah. What is the?
I think it's because of the way it makes you feel when you watch someone who has such a strong artistry behind what they're doing. They should be conveying an emotion, you feel something, just like you do with any art. When you read something special, when there's a painting that touches you, ballet does that same thing when you get that emotion, but you get it through movement, which I think is what makes it so special and beautiful.
You're connected on all levels. Mm-hmm. So you explored a lot as a kid. You did different styles of dancing. What was next for you in that part? Did you really dive into one specific? Was it ballet? How did that work?
Yeah, I did the competitive studio side, which it gets the bad rap in TV stuff with things like Dance Moms, but it's that space of being a little bit crazy, competitive, way too many hours a week, every single weekend, a very intense space and time commitment. So I did that through high school, and then found a love of ballet in that training. So the ballet was more of a supplemental training for the competitive side and more the jazz and contemporary. But I really loved the discipline of ballet. You just have to drill in. It's very internal, very mental, which I guess is where I ended up in that space, as all dance can be. But I enjoyed that piece. So I started doing summer apprenticeships. So in the ballet world, you can go train with a professional company for weeks in the summer. So when I was in high school, I would leave for 6-8 weeks and train with a professional company and come back. So that helped with that transition to be able to do a professional company during my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your parents, how were they involved in this? Did they really push you, or did they kind of expose you to it? How was that dynamic?
They are so supportive and not the ones to push, but they instilled the push from me. So they were always behind me when I said, I want to do this, I want to go here, or I have this big dream. Always fully supported it, but never had a push behind it. And neither one of them knew the dance world beforehand. So I think they were definitely kind of along for the ride of not knowing, just like any parent out there, if your child is in a sport you know nothing about, you have to just try to figure it out as you go.
Buy books, watch
yes.
YouTube videos.
Yes, exactly. So but yes, always so supportive of what I wanted to pursue. And really it was about instilling that I believed I could.
Interesting. Yeah. What was that? What was the why behind, like, if you can remember back to like conversations that you had with them, what was the why behind when they spoke with you? Would they just give you positive encouragement? Would they talk to you when there were probably moments where it got tough, because you were talking about discipline, times where you didn't want to go to practice, all that stuff. How did they do that?
Yeah, they are very good at helping me figure out how to solve my own problems, which I try so hard to do now as a mom as well. But that sense of, if there's something going on that, you don't like a decision that your coach made, or you don't feel like you're being treated fairly, or there's favorites, like the same stuff that happens on every sport team. Same thing happens in dance. And so if I was upset about something that, I'll call her coach, but artistic director was doing, they would talk to me about it and listen, but then they're not about to call her or do anything, right? It's how do you, telling me, how do you want to talk to her about it? Do you want to try to talk to her after class? Do you want to set up a meeting? Do I just need to vent? Like, where does this need to go? So they would definitely listen and be supportive, but I had to do the work to fix it, which I really appreciate. At the time, I was annoyed, of course, right? I want, mom and dad to just go tell her to change it. And now, you know how damaging that can be instead. So I lucked out with that for sure.
There's a lot of that. There's a ton of that in sports where mom and dad want to step in. And
yeah, sport parenting is a whole other challenge and problem that is getting worse.
Yeah, let's talk about sport parenting.
Sure.
I love this.
What?
I could definitely do lots on sport parenting. Absolutely.
Hope you guys are enjoying this conversation already. So there's a lot of parents out there whom love their kids to the end of the world and back, and want them to be successful, and that makes perfect sense. What is that balance? I mean, are you having conversations with some of these parents right now? Are you active?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me a
absolutely.
little bit about that.
I've done a lot with, again, in the dance space, but it's the same regardless of sport. I think sport parenting can look very similar. And it is, like you said, it's the very well-intentioned parent. They want what's best for their child, but it's surrounded with the same problem that's happening in parenting in general. But the broader sense within sport, that parents are trying to get rid of every obstacle in front of their child and make sure, again, well-intentioned, okay, well, now you'll just have the best time and you will love your sport and you will do so well. But it has the opposite effect. When you take away every single obstacle and do everything for them, then you either end up with a child who has essentially no mental toughness, because I've never had to work for anything, and or they are entitled. Or both.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So well-meaning, but it has such horrible consequences for a child who wants to grow and thrive in a sport.
Thinking back to your own career, scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your mental toughness?
Depends on when.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to think about it. I think I actually always was pretty high. I would say like high school me, probably in 7 and 8s. I always really felt like I could get to what I wanted. And there's aspects of my own like athletic ability that some stuff comes easy and some stuff was really hard. And I had to train so much harder than my peers. But I was always willing to do that. And I have always been good at the long goal, knowing like this career, it might take me 5 years to get this goal. A PhD is the same thing, takes a really long time, and you have to know that you're going to be dedicated for extended periods of time. Yeah. So I think I've always had high levels of that long-term mental toughness, but the day in and day out always gets you still. But
Yeah. Was that part, you think that's part nature and nurture? Or was it one more than the other?
yeah. Oh, well, so the nature nurture question, when you ask a psychologist, is they're always intertwined. It's always both. So yes, I have wonderful genetics from both of my parents and their abilities to be disciplined. Both of them are high achievers. Both of them are very cognitive and will think through things and intellectual. And so I have that going for me. But yes, nurture, of course, plays into it, which is in your own experiences in sport, from your coaches, from your peers, from your experiences of, wins and losses and setbacks like injuries, and like how you handle all of that is always woven together.
Yeah. Is this the biggest part? What percentage of your current energy, ability, or effort you can put in during the day goes into this athletic realm? Is it 100%? Are there other areas?
Of my working day?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
So most of my working day is with the university side and the teaching side. So as a teaching professor, I have my normal class load and everything at school. One of those classes is sports psychology, so I get to teach undergrads about the field. But then working with athletes specifically is a smaller part, but I do a lot more of it in the summer. So that's the fun part of an academic calendar, is I get to do a lot of off-season training with athletes in the summer while I'm not teaching.
That's cool. Are they any of the athletes are they all from the campus or just anywhere?
No, I do a lot actually, all over the U.S.
Okay.
So a lot of virtual trainings. I'll travel some in the summer. Yeah.
What's something coming into it? So I know a lot of parents who they're dying. This field is huge. There are so many parents right now looking to get there. I have people coming to me and go, I want to get my kid a sports psychologist. Obviously, they're seeing some of the issues. They're seeing whether it's discipline or getting down on themselves. What do they need to know getting into this? Is there anything to consider before taking that next step?
To finding someone?
Yeah, if they're kicking that idea around.
That's a great question. So there is a specific accreditation that's relatively new. And so I think not a lot of parents or people in the field even know about it, but it's a certified mental performance consultant. And that certification is through the Association of Applied Sports Psychology. It's not the only way, of course, but it is a very rigorous and well-established certification. And so the thing for parents is you can look for that. There's lots of people probably in your local area that would have different specialties in different sports. But the big thing when you're looking for help is to know that it's across a spectrum of mental health. So there's the actual mental health side where you might want help with more serious mental wellness challenges. So things like depression or eating disorders or substance use that are tied to an athlete's experience. So you want the sport person who has that clinical level, but then you have, and some CMPC certifications, or some people with that certification are also licensed mental therapists or, counselors, social workers, something like that. And then the other half of the spectrum is that mental toughness side of helping your athlete not just be okay, but truly thrive. And that is a non-clinical person. And so it depends on what your athlete needs and what you're looking for, but both can be really valuable. But know that you will look for people that have either or both, depending on what you're looking for.
What a fantastic answer. That was great. That was really good. I knew I was going to learn today.
I'm glad.
I knew we were going to learn. Sorry, Chip, go ahead.
No. I got a really kind of offshoot weird question. We used to do these Arnold sports shows. We brought a dance team and DJ with us to try to, bring people to the booth and try to make this feel fun and, those kind of things. And one of the guys I met, shout out to Van, he did professional dancing for a long time. And then he took a really left turn for a career path and started doing stunt work.
Yeah.
Is that like a normal thing? Like it does make sense that there's you learn some of the same motions from that. Is there some similarities?
Sure. Oh, there's definitely some similarities. I don't know if I would say normal, but it definitely has a lot of cross. It is just like I would see there's a lot of cross with dancers and martial arts in that it's that full body awareness that translates to that stunt work, that dancers have a full body coordination that just is a little different and a little less specialized than other sports can be, where you have skills that are, either one side of the body relied on, and hopefully those people are cross-training and are well-rounded, but dancers have a full body awareness, like I said, similar to martial arts and things that can translate to stunt work. It makes sense.
Are you looking to make an adjacent career move? Or?
I'm getting too old for that.
He's like, I've been Googling.
Yes.
All right. So let's touch on the mental toughness side, because I want to learn a little bit more on that. Obviously, we could write a book on mental toughness that could be, 1,200 pages or whatever. It could be a whole thing. How let's take a hypothetical situation. A 10-year-old kid loves the sport, dancing or whatever sport is it. How do we begin to develop mental toughness? It's a tricky. It's an interesting question. So approach it from however you want to. But how do we even begin to start to approach that idea of developing mental toughness? And what is mental toughness?
Yeah, great question. So mental toughness, I see as it's really your ability to handle negative emotions and cope intentionally. So we all have those negative emotions. We're going to be disappointed. We're going to be frustrated. We're going to feel like, oh, I suck at this sport. I'll never be good. And those negative emotions can either take you out of the game or be something that you learn to cope with and work past, which makes you a stronger athlete. So the toughness, when people usually say, I wish, that athlete had more mental toughness, or coaches are saying, I'll take mental toughness over skill any day, right? It's because it's the person who will take the feedback, whether that be coach feedback or, skill feedback, and they're struggling, and they will be able to handle that feedback and say, I want more, I can do more. And so that means building it, especially in someone young, like a 10-year-old, building it is talking about challenges and not shying away from them and setting the groundwork of okay, this is hard, but you can do it. And just because it's hard doesn't mean we give up. It means, okay, how do we go forward? What's the plan of attack? How do we handle this? How do I integrate this feedback to be better next time? And so it's talking about those challenges. And with someone who's 10, there's so many wonderful opportunities in small ways, right? It might be, okay, this math test is a little scary. All right, this is a challenge. We've got this. How do we prepare for it? How do we plan for it? How do we put the work in to show up and be our best that day? Just like you might prep for your baseball game. Right? It's that same idea. So it's putting challenges, talking in front of them, talking about them, and being alongside them, encouraging them to do it, but you're not doing it for them. They have to learn from it.
What are some thoughts on athletes who, in the dance world, sports world, you hear the word uncoachable. We all have coaches in life. We've always, since little till the day we die, hopefully we're always looking up to somebody, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, even though you have your, doctorate, I'm guarantee without even asking you, there's someone you look up to.
Absolutely.
Whom you're drawing experience from, and you constantly are learning. Why is that? There are a lot of uncoachable kids. How do we approach it? Why is that? And then how do you get past that?
Sure. I think the uncoachability piece is the inability to take feedback. To me, if I am a coach looking at an athlete who gets that label of being uncoachable, it's because they usually think they already know what they need to know, right? I already have the knowledge. I already have the skill. I don't need to learn anymore. And that is exactly the opposite of what you're talking about. The coachability is I always have something to learn. There's always somebody better than me at something. There's always some way that I can grow. And so somebody who's uncoachable feels like I'm good and I've got what I need. And this is either enough or I'm perfect the way I am. And there's that balance of you can be coachable and humble and confident. You can still have a lot of confidence in your abilities and your current level while also believing I want more and I can do more. And so I think the uncoachability is, that sense of I don't need anything else. So how we fix that depends a lot on age, and is sometimes it's often starts as a parenting issue, but it's also wrapped up in our education system, and everybody gets a trophy in sport, and there's lots of culture issues going on that I don't want to just blame parents. But being able to have that sense of success that is focused on growth and progress and not on some external reward. So success is about how hard did I work? What did I learn from this? What did I gain? what progress did I make today? Not just I won or I made the team or I got captain. Like it's not just those extrinsic things, but it's that sense of progress.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. You mentioned growth mindset. Is that something, a lot of adults have that, growth mindset. Let's say it's just the desire to want to learn. I think there's an addictive nature to learning or acquiring a new skill. It feels great to learn something new. Is that something that can be developed out of sports?
Yeah.
Is that something that you even talk about during that on how to develop a growth mindset?
I do talk about it a lot, and you can absolutely learn it through sport. I think it's one of the great ways to be able to learn it. So growth mindset and fixed mindset, I think there's a misconception out there that it's either or, that you have a growth mindset or you have a fixed mindset. And really it's, the psychologist behind us, Dr. Dweck would say it's more of a continuum. You can be somewhere in the middle, or you have domains in your life. Like I have a great growth mindset about my sport, but I have a fixed mindset about school. Right? Or you can have it even within school. I have a growth mindset about math, but fixed about reading. Right? So knowing that it depends on the domain of your life and what you're working on, but you can definitely develop it. And I think growth mindset's being taught in schools, which I love. Lots of schools are talking about it now, but it's become this idea of like, oh, just be positive. You can do anything. And it's not really just be positive. It's the knowledge that I can achieve more with time and effort. And it's the time and effort part that gets lost. That kids are like, it's not just be positive that you can learn. It's understand that you can learn and be confident in it, knowing it might take you a long time and a lot of effort, but you can do it. And that goes back to like the challenge and the ability to persist when like, oh, I wanted to learn this new skill, but I didn't pick it up in the first practice. Well, like, no, you're trying to learn something really hard. You're not going to get it in the first practice. Like this might take years to master this skill. So being able to take that like positivity, but also I can do it with time and effort. And so when I talk about growth mindset, it's actually more about understanding where do you have a fixed mindset? Because everybody does. There's going to be certain triggers that come up for you that make you say, okay, nope, I can't do this. I give up. And so even the most growth mindseted person will then have those moments of like, forget it. So
Yeah.
it's
I can think
noticing
about things in my life that as you're talking, things that I'm incredibly open about and have a great mental mindset on, and those areas of my life flourish.
Yeah.
And then I can think of other areas where I'm like, I put these limitations on myself.
Absolutely.
And we
Yeah.
can only imagine what kids do who
Right.
haven't had the time to grow. Can you discuss failure for me? Failure is the biggest thing in sports. It's the thing that addresses everything. How do kids process it? And what's a good way to understand and conceptualize it into real life?
Sure. So when we talk to kids about failure, especially, I would always want to dig in and ask them what is failure to them? Like, what does that mean? And is failure, it goes back to the process or the outcome. Like, did you only fail because, coach didn't tell you you weren't starting this week? Is that your failure? Is it a failure that you didn't get recruited? Like, what is your failure? And usually for little kids, it's all this extrinsic stuff, right? My dad didn't praise me after the game, or it's all outside. And so it's thinking about failure is really just not trying, right? That we're going to fail a lot. And as long as you are learning from that failure, it's good. And the best way we grow is try and fail and get feedback, and try and fail and get feedback. And that's the same thing in academics. I would say the same thing to my college students. It's like you may not get an A on this very first assignment. That's okay. You tried, you didn't get what you wanted. Is an A- a failure? That's another problem. So what is that failure? Try, learn, get some feedback, listen to it, build from it, and get better. So it's just reframing that failure is not at all a bad thing.
I heard from what you just said, a lot of it sounds like it has to do with setting expectations on what failure truly is. Can you touch on the physiology then of that? So the physiology of rewiring your brain, because we talked about negative emotions, whether they be failure or whatever, you're going to have that negative, and that's going to happen time and time again for an athlete, I would assume, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like, hey, I lost the game. Maybe I struck out, or maybe the coach told me my dance, whatever it was, they're going to have that. Is that what's going on physiologically then as you're working with somebody? Is that just a positive reinforcement? I grew up in a household with a lot of negative reinforcement from an athletic perspective.
Yep.
Now, it served me well in certain circumstances, but there were other circumstances where it was very damaging to have negative reinforcement, and I had it a lot.
Yeah.
So, how do we approach that? Hopefully, I framed that question enough to give you.
So the positive negative reinforcement thing is a whole other. We could go there too.
Yeah.
Because that is usually the default is the punishment rather than the reinforcement, and we know kids and adults alike learn so much better when you take the positive side. But that alone. So what I'm hearing from you though is that there's a neuroscience. There is a rewiring in your brain when you are trying to train the automatic thought. So if you have constantly had the negative feedback, right? If you've constantly been told you're not good enough, it's not enough, then your first thought when things are not going well is negative. You've created an automatic thought. So in the way, your neurons fire and they signal to each other, the more you have that same pathway, the more that's reinforced, the faster it gets.
Yeah, right.
So there is kind of like you're saying, the physiology,
Yeah.
there's the myelination that happens, there's stuff going on in the brain to make that pathway faster. And so for many people, like that fixed mindset thought of, oh, I'll never get this, forget it.
Yeah.
That's the automatic thought. And so the training becomes, you can't necessarily stop that automatic thought from happening. So instead, it becomes noticing, oh, there it is. That's not helpful. What do I want to do instead? And the mental toughness side is being able to pause and recognize that's not what I want. I need to do something different and training a different response. And the more you do that, that becomes the automatic thought. And so that when you have an athlete who makes a mistake and has to reset quickly. So in lots of sports, if you make a mistake, your reset time is very fast. It depends on the sport, right? So you think about like basketball in between a free throw shot or, a golfer in between putts. You have a little bit of time to reset to where like dancers, you don't ever actually stop dancing.
Yeah,
you have to reset while you're still going. Same with like gymnasts and stuff, right? Like you don't get to stop your routine. You just have to keep going. So you need the positive reset thought to be automatic, but that takes the training of repetition over and over and over to create that kind of like neurological superhighway.
Yes, so interesting. I think of two separate, I would golf with a particular person, and I would be thinking about all the places I shouldn't hit the ball with it.
Right.
Because I'm thinking like, okay, just swing. This particular person I was golfing with was always like, swing nice and easy. And I would always screw up, always. But then I got with another partner who's like, just hit the effing ball.
Yep.
And I would play out of my mind great.
Yep.
And so it's so interesting, thinking to these parents who put all this time, money, effort, energy, all that into their kids, and they're trying to go, how do we get the best out of the performance? It's interesting to discuss those principles.
Yeah, to think about what are you intentionally putting in your focus. So in the moment when you are about to putt and you're about to hit the ball, you have to be in the present moment, right? That's usually the goal. And when we are having a bad game, you're thinking about the shot you just missed. You're thinking about, what they're going to tease you about when you're done. Like it's all past and future. But you need to be in the moment and think about the skill in front of you. And so being able to do that is like narrowing down to like just being right here and present in this moment and think about, like you said, just hit the ball. Like
Just hit the ball.
And especially if it's a skill you have, right? So for an athlete who's like, I do know how to do this, this is a relatively automatic skill. Like I'm a pitcher and I've been pitching for years. Like I don't have to think about the mechanics. I just need to be here and just pitch.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting. I love that. I get so excited about it. I get so, because there's so much that goes into it, and I think the reason it's exciting is because you're giving kids a leg up. Not in sports, because not everybody's going to be a professional dancer, maybe, but maybe they take some of those things they learn and they transition that in their job.
Absolutely.
Patience.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful piece about why I love teaching it, and I'll say the same thing to my college students who are learning it academically. Many of them are athletes, but the idea is you just take these lessons that you learned through sport, and it's life lessons. And every good coach would say that, right? That's why we coach. That's why we spend the time. It's what are the life lessons that are coming out of it? And there's so many wonderful ones, but the mental toughness piece is a huge part of that. So that, if you're really nervous going into your first big interview, you know how to calm your breath and say the thoughts that are going to help direct you towards what you need to do. You've done the preparation. You can trust your training. It's all the same stuff. You're just now going for your first big job. Yeah.
I love that so much. I have this personal training session I got to get to.
Sure.
I'm going to let Trip, the master over there, take over. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I'll see you on the way out.
Thank
okay?
you.
All right.
This has actually been super great. Quick word from our sponsors, and we'll get you a little plug, and we'll wrap things up, all right?
Sounds great.
Hey guys, this is Brett and Tripp from the Health or High Water podcast. I want to take a minute to talk about a tool that's become a game changer in our health profiling process, Gene Planet's genetic testing. At Ascend Wellness, we use Gene Planet's cutting-edge genetic testing technology to give you personal insights into your health, fitness, and wellness like ever before. These aren't just one-size-fits-all plans with Gene Planet. We're able to deep dive and take your genetic blueprint and design a program tailored to your unique needs. Whether it's understanding your metabolism, injury risk, or best diet and exercise approach for you, Gene Planet's tests provide the foundation we use to build truly individual health plans. And let me tell you, it works. All right, you get 30% off your genetic test by using code APT at checkout. That's code APT. So if you're ready to unlock your full potential, head over to Gene Planet's website today and use code APT to kickstart your personal wellness journey. That's Gene Planet, and you'll hear more about how we use it to elevate your wellness journey here on the Health or High Water podcast. Thanks. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, telling about these amazing mentality, toughness. It's such a lack in today's society.
Yes, agreed. Thank you for having me so much.
Well, of course. And we'll have to have you back on and see what's happening down the road and
I'd love
everything
that.
down the road.
I'd love that.
Well, thank you so much. So where can people find you online, websites, those kind of things?
Absolutely. So, well, if you are in the dance or performing arts space, my podcast is Passion for Dance. I dig into all of this within performing arts. And then broadly, my website is chelseapierotti.com.
Well, awesome. Make sure you guys go check her out, see the amazing art that she's doing out there. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I am all out of words today. I'm word soup right now. So you guys have a good one, and thank you guys for watching or listening to the Health or High Water podcast.